Oh man, come on! Jump strong! Welcome back to another vlog. Do wider pedals or pedals with a bigger Q factor, giving you a wider stance, actually affect your riding? Today we're gonna find out. I'm gonna find out. That's my old pedal in my hand and a new one that's attached to my new XCADEY 160mm cranks, which I absolutely love. 5440 chain rings, and yeah, we're going out for a test ride for me to really see how things are different. Well, first thing is that the clearance between my shoe or my foot and the crank arms, well, the 4mm does give a lot more clearance. In terms of aero, I'm not so sure. It's just a little bit of difference. I mean, the Asioma pedals are even wider. Well, here we go. Out and about today with pedals that are 4mm wider, 4mm longer axles, and I don't know, I can't feel the difference. Maybe I will soon, but let's see how today's ride goes. Ride with me. Today's session is all about seated torque effort, something that my coach has given to me to help me improve my strength or torque. But what is torque? Well, simply put, torque is a measure of rotational force, and in cycling it's the force that you apply to the pedals or crank multiplied by the length of your crank arm. So I've got shorter crank arms, which means less torque. If you got longer crank arm, you got more torque. Well, think of it like this. You're stomping on the pedal, and that force multiplied by how far the pedal is from the crank spindle is torque. So more force, longer crank equals more torque. So what's power? Power is how fast you apply that torque while rotating the cranks. So essentially it's power equals torque times cadence. Now in cycling speak, high torque at low cadence is basically grinding uphill, using a lot of force by going really slowly in terms of cadence. Low torque at high cadence means you're just spinning easily. High torque at high cadence, that is what we're looking for. That's the magical thing, because high torque and high cadence win races. That's how you get your peak power. So you need high cadence and also lots of strength. Well, that's what it's all about today. So if you want to stick with me as I suffer, well, let's do it. Jump on your trainer or jump on your couch and let's go. So it's 10 minutes into my ride now, just doing a warm-up. I can't really tell the difference between the standard axle length and this plus 4mm one. Pretty interesting. I actually thought I'd feel a difference, but I actually don't. So that's, I think that's a good thing. Nice to see some friendly faces out. So good, so good. Perth is I've got to say, after yesterday, I've fallen in love with Perth even more. So, long story short, I went out and did a shoot using my camera and then my drone, and after shooting with the drone, I put my camera down, walked to the car, realized that I actually didn't take my camera back to the car. Went back and it was gone. And I was gutted. Seriously gutted. I went to the nearest police station and lo and behold, someone actually brought it there. So they are really good people in Perth. I appreciate the person who brought it to the police station. My camera and my drone accessories. Mate, thank you so much. If you happen to watch this video, you know who you are. Please reach out. Please reach out. Until now, I was just riding on the flats, and this was the first real mini climb. It's about 6-7% gradient, short, and I was climbing out of the saddle. And this is when I felt something different about the pedaling. Just want to share this with you guys. Okay, I spoke too soon. The slightly wider pedals do give me a little bit more stability when I'm out of the saddle climbing. That is pretty cool. Now, I want you to imagine that you're standing on one of these balance boards that you get at a physio, or maybe you have one at home, and that's all about core, you know, training your core. Now, the wider you are standing, if your stance is wider at either end of the board, the more, or rather the easier it is to balance, because your stability is better, your center of gravity is a little bit lower. And that's what I'm feeling on the bike. Now, it's not so extreme, but essentially that is the idea. My feet are feeling a little bit wider, and I've got a slightly lower, lower center of gravity. And the stability can actually be felt. Now, I must say that it can be felt more when standing up rather than being seated, because when you're seated, most of your weight is on the saddle anyways. So don't expect to feel as if there's going to be big changes when you're seated in the saddle, but expect a slight change when you are standing out of the saddle, whether it is sprinting or climbing. I think that's a really good plus, because more stability equals more confidence, equals more speed, but also, most importantly, equals safety. Because you feel safe, you're not going to be wobbling everywhere. I think that's a pretty good thing. Now, I know this is not for everyone, but look, if you don't have any problems with your knees, or if you can go a little bit wider without affecting your fit, I think it's a good option. Some people might say that the aero trade-off is there, but honestly speaking, for most of us amateurs or mere mortals, it's not really going to affect, because we're not pumping out stupid watts and going stupid speeds solo. Probably drafting, and when you're drafting, well, those little marginal aero gains are really not even there at all, simply because you're in the draft of someone and you're being protected anyways. Alright, let's move on. We are in Applecross, near some of my favorite coffee places, and I'm still warming up. Alright, it's time for activations. Coach has given me 2 activations, 2 by 6 second starts. What is an activation? Well, very, very simply put, activation is basically activating or using specific muscle groups in preparation for an exercise or preparation for a race. An example, a pre-ride activation basically can be like these starts, and it helps me to prepare my muscles, specifically like my glutes and my quads and calves, for the activity that's coming along. And it is scientifically proven to improve performance as well, prevents injury as well, reduces injury, because your muscles are basically firing correctly, and no single muscle group is overcompensating and stuff like that. So that's actually pretty cool. Now, these activations don't have to be super long. You're basically telling your muscles, hey, we're gonna kickstart, we're gonna go hard, be prepared. So I'm not a scientist or medically trained, but that's what I've been told by my coach. So that's pretty cool. So here I am during starts, and here I am getting ready for the first of, quite a few painful sessions. So if you're on a trainer, join me. If you're not, then well, just enjoy the rest of the video as I explain. Welcome to Seated Torque Efforts. Now, this workout has been designed by my coach Simon Jones of My Best Season for me, focusing on torque. What's happening here is that I have a sprinter profile, so if you're a sprinter, doesn't matter how much power you put out, this may be useful for you, but check with your coach or check with a medical professional before you do this, because I am not one. Okay, this workout, prime yourself the standing starts, and then between efforts, at least a couple of minutes, maximum 5 minutes of recovery, and use a heavy gear. 2x50 seconds seated, 2x40 standing, 2x30 seated, and 2x20 seated, any RPM, any gear. Note that all the other efforts are below 50 RPM, or a peak of 50. And then zone 1 recovery for 30 minutes. Here I am going up, and a few tips as we go along. Tip number 1, find a stretch of road that is long enough for you to do a seated effort for 1 minute. A lot of roads are way too short. I managed to find one road over here with a decent gradient. It starts at about 5% and then kicks down to about 3% for a while, 3.5%. So I'll need to shift gears in between. Now, I started this a little bit too slow. I think I was on 54 front and the 10th gear at the back. I'm not sure how many teeth that one is, but I was struggling at about 30 plus RPM, and then it went up to just over 40. So finding the right gear is all part of the process. Once you know what gear you can push and turn over, it makes the workout so much more easy, and not just easy, but also helps you to really match up with the fact that you got to be under 50 RPMs and pushing out torque. Now, torque does not mean high power numbers, so bear that in mind as you're doing the workout. If you're not seeing high power numbers, that is okay. You're not looking for stupid power numbers here, just torque.
I think my cadence was a little bit low on the first one. I was on the big chainring at the front, that's 54, and 10 at the back. Not sure how many teeth, maybe 14. I'm gonna go 2.9 this time around. 31 at the beginning was painful. No more than 50 RPM, so I think 2.9 should be good. Gonna go again.
Now, I'm pressing the lap button on my computer over here. Lap your sessions, because what you want to do is you want to measure how much, not just the torque that you're doing, but also you want to see the power numbers after the fact. So lap each of the sessions so that you can go back and analyze. Now, also, when you're doing these seated torque efforts, put your hands on the drops, not the hoods. I find that you're able to actually push through with your glutes, your quads and your calves much better when you've got a firm grip on the drops. Putting your arms on the hoods doesn't really do much for torque. It makes you more aero, but put your hands on the drops. Helps a lot. As you go, you'll find the best gear for yourself, and I found 54 at the front, big chain ring, plus gear number 9 at the back worked really well for me. Kept me well within the 50 RPM zone, but I wasn't grinding like mad. And so for these seated efforts, I found that was really, really useful. So take your time, experiment with your gears so that you can find the right one. That's really, really important. And once again, use the same stretch of road to keep things basically uniform.
Next two efforts are going to be standing up, so I'm keen to see whether the stability I felt earlier on carries through. Wider pedals, wider stands actually, longer axles. So far so good. Starting 210 for these standing efforts.
So standing up and out of saddle soon, I would basically be choosing a slightly heavier gear, because when you're standing up you can generate more torque. And so remember to lap your effort and go all out. So push 100%, give it your all. So there's a gentleman on the right, we're just going past him right now. He was actually watching me go up and down while he was waiting for the bus, so it made it rather interesting. Now as I was going up, I could actually feel while I was standing out of the saddle a lot more stability, and that was really good. I was starting to really fall in love with my slightly wider stance. Now back to the efforts. So choose a gear that allows you to keep within the 50 RPM ceiling that you want to hit. You don't want to go over, because you want to maintain high torque. And once your effort is done, just press the lap button just to make sure you can go back and analyze. You don't have to use the whole stretch of road now, because it's just 40 seconds, not one whole minute, and go all out so that you actually do your best, maximize the time spent in training. Also remember to take the much needed rest between sessions. So whether it's just rolling down the hill to the start point and just sitting, or just riding around in circles easy, make sure that you actually rest, because recovery between sets is so important for good performance. And not just good performance, you need to give your muscles time to rest and recover, reoxygenate, clear the lactate before you go into your next effort. Alright, next!
Second standing effort coming. This is painful.
With the first effort of the standing of 40 seconds done, this was round 2. Slowly rolling up to the start point at the junction just as the incline starts to peak. And remember to press the lap button once again. If you're on a trainer, you can do this together with me. But essentially I found my perfect gearing. So big chain at the front and gear number 10 at the back. Basically going up, standing, high torque efforts. Grip hard, grit your teeth, just go all out. Just keep pushing on the pedals. 40 seconds is not long, but it can seem like an absolute eternity, especially when your lactate is building up. But this helps you build strength. And one thing I found as well, when you're sprinting, your posture is really important. If your posture is bad, and if your grip on the handlebars is bad, you start to get basically back pain, and you don't want your muscles at the back to be overstrained. Just make sure that you get a good position. And that was my 40 seconds. Woo! Press the lap button and rest up.
Alright, headed to a steeper hill for the seated 30-second effort and an all-out 20-second any RPM. Whew. If you're still watching this so far, thanks for watching. Thanks for suffering with me. Whew. Let's go.
The longer efforts work better on slopes that are not as steep, and so the shorter efforts like 30 seconds and 20 seconds, I personally prefer to do them on a tougher hill, something with a higher gradient. And the area I live, which is around the Borough area near Mount Henry Bridge, lots of hills actually, very hilly, especially the slopes here. They go up to like 8-9%, which is great for shorter efforts.
Now I've chosen Parkside Avenue near my house to do these 30-second efforts. It's about 200 meters, and I think the average gradient is like 8%. It pinches to about 12 or 13 near the top, so this should make for a good 30-second effort. Right, if you're on the trainer, time to put those legs to work. 30-second all-out hard effort, eh? Okay, I forgot to hit record for the first one, Oh, it's on 2.7. Oh, I almost stalled at the top. Gonna try 2.6.
Once again, experiment with your gears, especially if the gradients are different. Now, these efforts were tough. I almost stalled at the top, so RPM was really low and almost ground to an absolute halt.
Here we
Well,
go.
check this out. Here we go. 30 seconds seems a lot longer than it actually is, especially if you're going up a steeper slope. And here, with pinches of up to 11-12%, it was difficult. Now, remember to stay seated no matter what. Grip the bars, pull on them if you need to, but stay seated, because this is all about generating power, generating torque to get up the hill. Motivate yourself, scream at yourself, do what you need to do to actually get up, especially when it pinches up. And right here, I'm absolutely struggling, just like the first round. Just push, 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 motivate yourself. Don't stall, don't stall.
Don't stall.
Now, this is admittedly longer than 30 seconds, I know that, and I was punishing myself. Now, if you can do longer than 30 seconds, then go for it. It's absolutely fine. The reason why it goes lower and lower and lower is because, well, you fatigue, and if you're fatiguing, the shorter efforts help, but if you can do a slightly longer effort, well, that is great as well. So, push yourself if you can, but if you can't, then just stick to the actual workout numbers and the time limits. And remember to recover. Rest up, take a drink, and just roll around.
Let me just get my heart rate down. These workouts that Simon's giving me are painful. Hope they're working. I really do. 20 seconds seated, any RPM. Let's do this.
Now, I actually thought that these last two efforts of 20 seconds seated with any gear, any RPM would be easy, but I was actually quite tired. Legs were quite heavy from the previous 6 efforts, and so as I went up here, now this is not Parkside Avenue anymore, this is the road parallel to that, so this is a little bit shorter but just as steep. But the 20-second effort starting here, man, it was tough. I started out at a good pace, good RPM seated, but as I slowly got up to the top, it started to hurt a lot. Now, these workouts, remember to go all in 100%. You will benefit from them as on your rest days. Rest days are where you start to adapt. Your muscles start to adapt from all the efforts, and you'll feel a lot better, I promise. This wasn't too bad, and it was just one last lap to go. You know, when you first start the workout, sometimes the workout seems like it's going to be too long, too hard, and it's a bit of a mental game. But tell yourself just to push through one effort at a time, and you will get there. The last effort, you want to go all out as well. Empty the tank for it, and enjoy the success of the feeling of finishing your workout. I was feeling pretty good, and I wanted to get home and get my training done with, so there wasn't much of a rest period for this one. I think it was less than a minute, or about a minute that I rested. Just went slow, waited for cars to go by before I went on my next effort. But remember, if you need to rest a little bit longer, rest up a little bit longer. Your body knows what you need in terms of rest, and once you're ready, just go for it.
Okay. Alright. Last one. And then it's zone 1 effort home.
I I decided to go big or go home in this one, and I clicked down one gear to make it even heavier. I want to challenge myself, and I almost regretted it halfway, because as I was going up, my legs were starting to run out of strength, and I was starting to stall right here. I had to tell myself, don't stall, keep going, push. It's like so close and yet so far, but so steep. Effort is over. That is very good. And then I clicked down and started to roll home. Alright, I'm just gonna let the video roll on until I'm home and then talk about the pedals. How I feel with a slightly wider stance. If you're still with me at this point, 25 minutes in, thank you so much.
That's it. Whew.
Zone 1 effort home, and if you've done the workout together with me, remember to get your zone 1 in at about 90 RPMs if possible, and just ride easy, clear the lactate in your legs, and yeah, prepare yourself for another sufferfest another day. So these are my new XCADEY carbon cranks at 160 millimeters long. Absolutely gorgeous, aren't they? And the 160 seems to work for me in terms of the perfect length. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, let's get into today's pedals.
Okay, so I'm back home from a training ride and just catching my breath. About the pedals, now a couple of things have changed on my bike since my trip to KL and coming back. So first off, seat post has gone up by 5 mil, and that's because my crankset, the Neutron crankset, I sent it back and I got myself an XCADEY crankset. The Neutron one was 165 mils. This XCADEY one is 160. I decided to go down by 5 mils because on the Argon 18 I've got 155. It feels a little bit short. It's great for the seated long efforts, but once you stand up and sprint, it's really weird. So I thought, yep, I think 160 might be the sweet spot, and so far it is. It feels great. Out of curiosity, I wanted to try a slightly wider stance. So overall 8 mils wider, that's about less than 1 centimeter wider. And what can I say? For me, it doesn't feel like it's awkward or anything. In fact, I must say that I love this slightly wider stance. It gives me a lot more stability when I'm out of the saddle. The bike is swaying left and right a little bit less, so I think that's a good thing. I did quite a lot of efforts today, and my knees don't hurt. Doesn't feel weird or anything. In fact, once again, I would say it's more stable. Okay, I'm not a bike fitter. I'm not asking you to go out and get yourself shoulder cranks and long axle pedals for a wider stance, but what I'm saying is that from my experience, if you get the chance to try, give it a try, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But then again, I know not everyone can do that. So, well, for those of you who can't, this is my experience. The shorter cranks feel more comfortable for me. I get to sit a little bit higher. My hip angle is a little bit more open. I can hold my tuck position a lot better. My knees and my thighs don't go as parallel as before, so I've got a nice angle at the top of my pedal stroke, which is great. I can engage my glutes a lot better. And yeah, the pedals, what can I say about the pedals? I love them. I love these pedals. I think I'm going to stick to the longer axles. Well, thanks for watching today's video, and like and subscribe for more content. I hope to put out more content in the future. Had a bit of a lull after the holiday, but I'm getting back into the grind. Meanwhile, ride safe, and to those of you I waved at who waved back today on the ride, good to see you guys, mate. Have a good one. Cheers and bye.